So we're gonna move over to state of dev. If you have not noticed, we've moved the schedule around a little bit for a couple of reasons. But one of the reasons is because usually when we end the community highlights, people jump in. I think like part of it is like, you know, our stream starts at 4 p.m. CEST, which is like a good time in Europe, but it's kind of early in the US. So a lot of times it's like people come in 1 hour into the stream and they're like, what's going on? Which, I mean, happens all the time anyways, regardless of what time we stream. But so we're moving state of dev over a little bit for in these trying times and testing it out, you know. We never want to like get stuck on just doing one thing for forever, you know. It's important for us to do what makes sense. So here we go, fam. State of dev. Bam. Well, let's do it. Let's talk about what happened last week. What happened last week, you may ask? I sweated a lot. That's what happened last week. I put out a video last week, or we put out a video last week, showing off some of the new let me see if I can pull it up here. Showing off some of the new weapons that we're working on, and showing off some of the changes we're making to the equipment system. I also just want to fucking, by the way, I just want to call myself out on this. This thumbnail is probably like one of my favorite thumbnails I've ever made. Ah, so dumb. Oh, holy shit. Anyways, oh, it's so stupid. So a couple of things we talked about, or I talked about in that video, was I tried to like make a little bit more sense with the beacons. I think if you guys were here last week, I also talked about the beacons a lot during the last stream. And if you didn't know, if you didn't hear, we are planning to make a lot of changes to how the map functions in the game. And an integral part of like that is how the beacons used to function and how we plan to use them now. We felt that the beacons were a bit too like cumbersome for people to use. We sort of lost out like a bit of... I think a lot of people felt that it was like a bit tedious to use the beacons. That's at least what we found in our... when we were evaluating this. So one thing we sort of realized is that we sort of need to simplify the marker system that we have in the game, even though the beacons are cool and whatnot. You know, they're still a bit tedious to use. So we plan to sort of do away with beacons because we want to replace them with this new marker system that we have here. So in the video I talk about this, how we're planning to do away with the beacons in the game. Look at me. What a fucking fantastic freeze frame. Look at this guy. Looks like I'm about to sneeze. So yeah, like essentially what's going to happen in the game is like the beacons are still going to be around for now in update 6 because of a few reasons. It's mostly so fucking go away. Where's the... Here it is. It's mostly because we want to like backwards compatible a little bit. Because if we just ripped out the beacons now, you kind of lose out on a little bit of functionality that we also want to improve further down the line. So the beacons will still stay in the game for now in update 6, but you won't be able to use them in any meaningful way. So you can still craft them, but like as soon as you place them, you know, they'll just like go away from your hand and just disappear essentially. And they'll get turned into these new markers that we have in the new marker system. So yeah, so I talked about that. I also showed off some of the changes we're making to the equipment system, which is over here. So if this is your first time tuning in to anything, fun fact, we're adding multiple body slots. I know this is something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, and this is definitely something that been highly requested, if anything. Couple of things I want to address when it comes to this. A lot of people have asked, like, why did it take you so long to do this change? Parts of it is because we didn't get around to it until now. You know, we've always said that we want to like do a revamp of our equipment system. And you know, part of that was also doing an evaluation of like, okay, but if we do change our equipment system, what is the actual change? Because we had some ideas to like mitigate the problem that we had in the game where, you know, a lot of people wanted to have multiple body slot support. We also wanted to think like, okay, is the problem that we need multiple body slot support, or is the problem something else with equipment? And that was sort of something that we wanted to evaluate before we said like yes or no to like whether we would add multiple body slots or not. And we kind of wanted to do this at the time when we're actually implementing it, because it's not just, you know, director Mark sitting there thinking like, this is a actual one-to-one representation of how it's like for Mark being at work. It's not like director Mark's just like this at his office like, yes, we will have multiple body slots because reason A. There's a bunch of like prototyping that's involved. Like it's not just one person who's making these decisions. It's like a team effort, because we are evaluating like, okay, what technically is the problem if we do this? What is the game design problem if we do this? And then we sort of come together and come to a conclusion. And for some of these cases, whenever community wants something really badly, we end up finding a solution that we think is better than just add this one thing and then it'll fix it. But like we can also solve other problems if we do it in a different way. And sometimes, like in this case, we just realized that like, no, it's probably the best option is to add multiple body slot support. For a couple of reasons. And I think one of the main reasons why this is actually the better option to do, even though we had some ideas of how we can change how equipment works, because the main thing really is that we feel like if we just had one body slot, we would want more equipment to like switch back and forth between, so it makes more sense, and then maybe have like equipment that serves like two purposes. So for instance, if you want, you know, Jetpack and Blade Runners in the game, there would be an item that sort of fulfilled that sort of role. So that was one approach we were thinking about doing, is changing completely how equipment is made and like what equipment exists in the game. And the problem with that is obviously that it takes more time to implement more equipment types than just like fit the existing equipment with the current game, essentially. So that's a little bit of the rationale behind why we went with this approach instead of the other one. So essentially the way it works, and I didn't explain this in the video, but all the slots obviously are used for, you know, fitting a certain equipment piece. So you can't put your jetpack on your legs, for instance. You silly dogs. The jetpack is for your back, and the gas mask is for your head, the body is for your hazmat suit, and the legs are for like the Blade Runners. It's always possible that, you know, maybe in the future we'll add more equipment. Right now we don't have too many plans for like additional equipment, but it's never impossible, right? But what we do have in mind is tweaking sort of the functionality of said equipment, because specifically like the combination of equipment is really the interesting thing here. So, you know, a couple of tweaks that we're thinking of doing is having it so that we added in update 5 so that hazmat suit would always also use as like a gas mask, because at that time you couldn't equip the gas mask and the hazmat suit at the same time. Now it makes more sense to have them as being separate, you know, entities, and, you know, have them use the different filters that they have. So you can, you know, you're using up both the gas mask filter and like the radiation, ionized radiation, whatever, the nuclear filters. Can't fucking talk. Because we've also adapted the UI for this too. There's a little bit of a, let's see if I can showcase this. There's a bug in this build that I'm playing here where it doesn't actually show up. But what happens is it shows you like everything that's being consumed in the corner here as they're being consumed. So when you're flying and like using the gas mask filter will show up here. If there was like a radiation here and I have the hazmat suit on, it would show up all these like consumable filters that I'm using. Iodine. Cool. That's what I was trying to say, but I apparently need to read it to be able to say it. So that's like one of the tweaks that we want to do. Another tweak we want to do is the the combination for like Blade Runners and Jetpack. That's something that we've always talked about, how, you know, it kind of messes up with the level design a little bit, because one of the main problems really when switching to this, to having multiple body slots, is that exploration and like the level design that we have in the world, they're designed for having one thing at a time. So like whenever we made like level design puzzles, if you will, like jumping puzzles when you're trying to get like a slug or something like that, they've always been made with one equipment at a time, sort of. So now that we're adding multiple support, it kind of ruins that whole exploration bit a little bit. So like certain combinations of items will kind of break that. So there's probably going to be a little bit of tweaking. I think one misconception that a lot of people have is that means that we're going to nerf Blade Runners and Jetpacks, which is not the case. We're probably going to allow people to do that, but we probably want to save that for like late game, right? So like the last tier or whatever. So, and that's the case for, I don't remember when you unlock the Jetpack, but if we also balance the equipment, we can also have it so that you can you can unlock some of the equipment earlier, but maybe in like in a less OP state. So you still have like the combination that you want. But that's more for end game, which is totally fine. Like once you're in end game, you know, it's totally fine if you're Superman, and you know, you can do everything. But we still want to attain sort of the aspect of exploration in the game where you see a slug over there in the distance, and you know, there's a bit of like, okay, how do I get that? And you know, reward players for being able to reach the slug and stuff like that. And that goes for both slugs and like all our work in progress items in the game. So there's a little bit of balancing towards that direction, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna like nerf everything. Essentially, we're just gonna give you more options. Essentially, so one approach that we might do is, and I'm saying might do because we haven't really fully decided everything yet, but one approach we might do is we might do so that like, you know, you can unlock the Jetpack, but maybe you can't use it. Like maybe in the state that it's in today, that's if you have like turbo fuel in it or something like that. So if you just use like regular fuel, it might not function as well, but like later in the game, you'll be able to use like a better tiered, or maybe there's a Mark II Jetpack or something. I don't know. But that's the idea, at least, you know, to sort of balance the equipment better towards this system. So hopefully that clears up that stuff. Anything else I need to talk about this? I'm thinking. Cool. I think that's it. So yes. I think that's most for equipment stuff. And is there anything I'm missing here in the video that I forgot to bring up here? What am I doing here? I'm flying around in gas. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So let's talk about the weapon types that we're adding. So similar kind of like energy here. We want to do. We don't want to like, now that we're looking into equipment and we're reevaluating weapons and stuff like that, we don't want to add like new weapons, but we realize we can do a lot of stuff with what we have in the game already. So we've opted to add like different weapon types for the Rebar, the Nobelisk, and the rifle. So by the way, these icons are working in progress, or like they're placeholders, so these will also get updated. Oh yeah, fuck, I forgot. You can now holster shit. Dude, how did I forget about that? That's like the best part of this whole video. Where is that? It's over here. Whatever. Stream over. Yeah, you can holster now. Something that, like, wow, I can't believe it. I've almost legit, like, wanted to implement that myself just because, like, I just gotta have it in the game at some point. Holster is actually the best feature in Update 6. IMO, not gonna lie. Close second is the Pulse and the Cluster Nobelisk. And I'll tell you why in a second. But that is like, yeah, unironically, that's the main thing I really wanted out of this update. And here we are. So a common question I've gotten is like, why did it take so long to add this? And the answer is like similar to before, as in like, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on with our game, and we just haven't got around to it until now. So, and it makes sense for us to like plan this because we're doing equipment system changes, and this is tied to equipment. So, you know, trying to get like everything in one go, so to speak. So yeah, now you can hide your nuts. Very cool. I'm still like trying to get used to this, by the way, because from time to time I'll find myself opening like the where is it? Like from time to time I find myself opening the menu and like almost dragging out like the equipment I'm holding, because that was a workaround we had in the game, right? Where if you had an empty slot like this, if you selected a rifle and moved it, you would unequip the rifle in your current hand. So I've gotten used to doing that. And I still have the habit of like opening this menu and almost doing it, and I'll realize, oh no, we have a fucking holster button. And then I switch back to the game and press H. So there's a little bit of like getting used to, but it's super dope. And obviously you can rebind it to be, you know, whatever we want. We picked H because, I don't know, for some reason, H holster, I don't know. So yeah, fun times. All right, let's talk about weapons. So weapons, we've added a bunch of stuff for the weapons. We've added 3 more ammo types for the rebar. We've got the shotgun rebar, we got the stun rebar, and we got the explosive rebar. They're kind of like, I can't really say because I don't know right now. I forgot to ask Mark about this. But like the use case of these different rebar types, they're used for like different things, essentially. I found that the shotgun rebar is really useful towards like spiders and stuff like that, because they're moving very fast and they don't have a lot of health. So it's really easy to like one-shot them with the shotgun if you're like jumping around. The explosive rebar is really good against everything because it packs a fucking punch. At least right now. This guy might get tweaked before update 6 come out. But I've had a lot of fun using the explosive rebar just because it's so goddamn strong. I'm assuming the explosive rebar is like a late game thing because it really makes like every fight pretty easy. We might tweak this actually since I've been playtesting this, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And the stun rebar is like for breaking AI patterns. So if you're getting chased, you can use the stun rebar to like break out of the AI behavior that they have. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this once we talk more about creatures, because we haven't done that yet. That's still something that's in the pipe, so to speak. But we are making changes to like how the AI behavior functions, and in some cases, some enemies will be easier and some enemies will be harder. So hopefully that will function a bit differently. Not coming this Friday, no. And yeah, so pretty dope. One thing that I really hope we add is so you can like use actually, it doesn't make any sense. Never mind. So those are the rebar changes, real quick. And then we have the rifle changes. We've changed the regular rifle to have 15 ammo slots instead of 10. Is one main thing here. So let me go to that scene. So check this shit out, right? 6 out of 15. Very nice. I don't know why, but for some reason I really thought that we didn't have like semi-auto fire on the rifle. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I feel like you had to like manually click every single shot. I don't know. It's just, maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe someone can confirm or deny this, or maybe we added this at some point. But I don't remember the rifle being full auto. You do. You can hold. Okay. Maybe I'd never tried it. So I guess it's not a new feature in update 6. Whatever. But yeah, we changed a little bit of how the rifle sounds, a little bit how it functions as well with the spread, because it used to be the rifle was all fucking line trace before. Now it actually does a little bit of scattering, not a lot, but a tiny bit. You can see in the HUD that like the bigger the what's it called, crosshair circle, you know, the more it will spread out. The rifle is the default ammo type for the rifle is probably the most accurate rifle shot. So yeah. We've also added a second ammo type that's like makes the rifle more like a minigun almost. It's like when you hold the when you hold the shoot button, the trigger, it will like it will increase the fire rate as time goes, and then accuracy reticle. That's what that's the word for that. What was I talking about? Yeah, so it just turns the rifle into like a machine gun, sort of. Increase the size of the slot as well, and good times will be had by all. The color on this cartridge, by the way, is wrong in this build. It's supposed to be red, just so you guys know. I don't know what the fuck happened there. So just, you know. And then last we have this like homing cartridge kind of deal, which is like if you played Titanfall, you kind of know, like the smart pistol, you kind of know what this deal is about. Super funky. It's a bit like all this stuff is work in progress, right? So this one is a bit funky right now. So visually it looks a bit strange, but yeah, it's supposed to, like, if you're aiming for something within the accuracy reticle, you know, it will make it easier to hit stuff. And this one is also 15, and also the stack sizes for all the ammunition types have increased a lot. So there's that. One thing I also want to point out, maybe we'll save that for later, actually. We'll talk about that later. We got Nobelisks. We got, how many was it? 5 different. So we have 5 new Nobelisks coming in Update 6. We've got the Pulse Nobelisk. We've got the Pulse Nobelisk, by the way, is so fucking fun to use. Like, less so as a weapon, but more so as like a traversal thing. It's super trolly. So people playing online, like, you can have a lot of fun with this, is all I'm gonna say. I actually don't know what happens if you stick this on another Pioneer, like multiple ones, and if you're gonna like push around. I need to do some experimenting once the stream is over. But this is so far one of my favorite like ammo types that were added. Just because exploration is so much more fun with this. So like coupling this with the like Blade Runners, Jetpack, and like the Pulse Nobelisk together is a deadly combo. Can you catapult all other players? So it kind of functions the same way as on yourself. So like, so it pushes them away, right? So yeah, very good, very good. A lot of fun. So you can like recreate this moment with other Pioneers as well, right? Boom, look at them flying off the cliff. Very nice. So here's what I'm talking about here. You can do like rocket jumps. I hate that this like part of the video, I'm not showing it off fully here because I kept missing. And I didn't have like too much time showing this off, but you can do like really fancy stuff with the Pulse Nobelisk when you're rocket jumping on it. Then we got the cluster bomb, which is a grenade that explodes and then will cluster into like 4 or 5 smaller Nobelisks, and they will detonate once they hit something. One really cool way to use this. This is also one of my favorite new additions to this. It's like the cluster one and the pulse one are just chef's kiss. One really cool way to use this is if you see an enemy in the distance, you can like chuck this in the sky and then blow it up, and then like it will rain down like Nobelisks on the enemies. I was really trying to like recreate that for one of the shots that we had, but I didn't have time, unfortunately, for this video. But that's a lot of fun doing it that way. Can you use the pulse to save yourself from fall damage? I believe you can. Yes. Although I think it's going to be quite tricky. But technically you can, yeah. Possibly. I haven't tested it, so I don't know if that's true actually, but I think theoretically you could. So yeah, the cluster is pretty dope. In this video, I also make a point how like this is really good for like clearing out the foliage. There's a bug right now in the game where the smaller clusters don't actually clear out foliage. That's why you're not seeing that change. But that's how it's supposed to be used. It's really good for like clearing it out. And like this grenade is the most nutty one when you've placed like a ton of them, because like if you have like 20 of them placed on the ground and you detonate them, you know, first 20 of them are going to detonate, and then the subsequent like clusters of them are also going to detonate. So you just create like this carpal tunnel of explosions. This is pretty dope. And then last we have the fucking nuke. Oh no, sorry, we have the Gas Nobelisk. I forgot because I haven't actually seen this in action yet. But this is being worked on at the very moment, actually. This is like this is also sort of intended for like early games, sort of, where this is more like as a deterrent for enemies. So it when you throw it and you detonate it, it will like emit a gas corridor, sort of, and then enemies will try and invade that. So you can create like space in between yourself and enemies by placing them in between you, and like if you're getting like attacked by a like a, what's it called, a hog. It's like a hog is coming at you. You can place down a grenade in between you, and the hog will be like, ugh, gross, fart gas, ugh, smells bad, and it will try to avoid it. And that's another like good way to like avoid enemies, essentially. I don't remember if it deals damage in the gas cloud. I think it does a little bit, but like I don't think this can like, it's not a good like weapon to use to kill animals, essentially. This is supposed to be like a deterrent more so than anything. So that's what that's for. And then we have the Nuke Nobelisk, which is kind of nutty that we're actually doing this, but here we are. But the Nuke Nobelisk at the moment is just a bigger, like regular Nobelisk. It just creates like a huge bang. It also made my computer crash. By the way, anyone who got punked by this, by the way, love you. Yeah, so it's essentially just a bigger bang. It just blows up, and right now it's all placeholder and stuff. So as for recipes, because we're getting to that, as for recipes that you're using, some of them are sort of set in stone, some of them are not. Really unfortunate bug here in the video that I didn't realize until the video was finished is that the for some reason the build that I had, the standard recipe is actually an alt recipe here. So the standard recipe is this one at the bottom here, alternate recipe 2. That's supposed to be the standard one. So essentially for the regular Nobelisk, we've just removed beacons. I think I might be thinking of rifle, actually. What is the default recipe for Nobelisk right now in the game? It's sulfur and rifle ammo beacons. Gotcha. Yeah. So like I mentioned before that we're doing it with beacons, pipe and powder. Yeah. Okay. So that hasn't changed. The Nobelisk. So this one is still the same. This is a really unfortunate issue that I wish I would have caught before we finished the video. But yeah, like the recipes that you see here on screen, the recipe is in there at the moment, how it looks right now. For like the shadow one, there's only one, so I guess that's easy. But for some of them where there's like multiple alternate recipes, you know, they will show up as like the alt recipe, but it's not actually true. It's still this one that's like the default one. So we haven't changed this. We just added multiple alt recipes for some of them. And some of them will still get a little bit tweaked, so I don't have like the actual full ones yet. I have no idea what the radar tower recipe is going to look like at the moment. For rifle ammo, I think it's just we removed beacons from it. It's the same recipe otherwise. Do we show it in this video? We had one edit where we showed like every single recipe, but I think we just like opted for time. Yeah, this is me talking about the codex changes too, which is also pretty dope, like the improvements we've done to the UI here. So just want to clarify that the recipes you see in the video, don't be confused. We haven't changed the alt recipe, because like it doesn't make sense that the default recipe you need a Nobelisk, because like how would you make one? But a really good point, actually, something that I want to point out, like one of the main reasons why we're doing it with beacons is because we want you guys to be able to automate everything in the game, almost everything in the game. There's a few exceptions, but for them, like ammo is one thing that we want you to be able to automate fully. So you're supposed to be able to create like ammo factories, so you can like better use that to like run around the world and shoot things, essentially. And I know that technically you could have automated it because you could automate beacons before, but we just want to make that a little bit easier, essentially. So yeah, look at me talking for a long time. Was there anything I forgot to mention? Yeah, beacon automation was a pain, and that's one of the main reasons why we want to do away with them in the recipes. Like we still have the alt recipe for uranium fuel rods or fuel units, I think they're called, the alt recipe. For now, we are gonna remove that eventually. I've seen some people ask, like, why aren't you just removing everything? Why aren't you removing it now? And the main reason for that is because we're probably gonna do another balancing pass for a lot of the like late tier recipes, and we'd rather do like rip the band-aid out and do them all at the same time rather than like, you know, over time remove them. Because we will, if we keep like changing things on the fly all the time, like sometimes we have to do like one major change and then be done with it. Because if we keep like doing it over time, then it's going to be frustrating for you guys to keep changing all the recipes and all the time. So that's the main reason why we're not doing that. So yes. And whether this like balancing thing comes with 1.0 or whether it comes before 1.0, haven't decided yet. It might be its own thing, just a patch that just rebalances the recipes at one point, and then we'll have that in experimental for a bit and then move it over. Sort of similar how we've done with like the engine updates that we've done. So we'll see. But we haven't really like made any decisions as to when, if, how that will happen. We just know that we probably want to make another recipe balance at some point, but we always knew that. So yes, yeah, because like it is an early access game. We can never get away from that. So it's you have to expect that things will change in our game. So I think I summarized everything in the last week's video. This week we probably won't have any major news because this is a short work week for us. We have like Thursday and Friday off because it's a national holiday in Sweden. Actually, it's like Ascension Day, right? So it's not just Sweden; it's a couple other places. But so hopefully we'll get a video out this week, but I don't know if we'll actually make it. We'll see. But it won't be anything major. It will be a minor video, which is just something small. Cool.